Hey everyone, I'm Airborne from Gaia Force Gaming, here with another video from the team. It's time for a brand new set, which is presumably a breath of fresh air from an otherwise possibly stale meta.
You may have guessed already, but I'm trying to generalize this as much as possible so you can rewatch it for future sets.
While everyone's trying to maximize their acquisitions of cardboard during the pre-release week, we all have the pleasure of coming together at our loving local game shops to engage in a short-term activity that lets us experience the new set, sometimes to the point of burnout if your local scene is lucky enough to have multiple pre-release events. That's right, I'm talking about the sealed pre-release events. The rules are different than the constructed format we know and love, but remain pretty simple. Every entrant is given 6 packs from the new set, along with a pre-release pack and a participation promo. These are the only cards you're allowed to use for the event. The goal is to build a 40 card deck given the 75 cards that you receive. That's 42 commons, 19 uncommons, 7 guaranteed rares, 7 rare or higher rarity, and 1 promo. In the event you pull in excess of one specific card, this is the rare rule set where the 4 card limit doesn't apply to any given card. Enjoy all your Korikakus, you filthy animal. However, the Digitama that you pull are the only ones that you can use, with a maximum of 5. Anything that you don't use to construct your deck or your Digitama deck is available as a side deck. Alright, that's it for the deck building rules. Now let's look at the difference in game rules. The color restrictions don't apply to Digivolving. That's right, you can finally play in a format where you can Digivolve your Agumon into a Greymon, just as the Force Sovereign intended. As of the BT8 pre-release, Bandai has informed us that this applies to DNA Digivolving as well. You still need to meet the requirements on level, name, and types or traits if need be when those apply in the future. So that means you can take 2 Angemon and still go into Sylphimon despite not having the red requirement. Now conversely, options will still require a Digimon in the battle or raising area, or a tamer in the battle area to be present in order to play them. This goes double the requirements for those dual color options. That's why they're so strong. In addition, effects that specify a color will still need to be abided by as well. That means Dead or Alive can't grab a non-purple level 5, so nice try. Aside to the rule added for DNA Digivolving, Bandai has implemented a new rule as of the BT8 pre-release, where the player is allowed to place a level 3 in the raising area instead of hatching a level 2 Digitama and then Digivolving on top of it. While the paragraphs detailing this aren't worded the best, we can infer that this can be done with any level 3 for no cost, despite what their Digivolution cost is, provided they even have one. I'm looking at you, Bokomon. Also, since the Digivolution isn't taking place by definition, the player won't be able to draw off of placing the level 3 in the raising area. This will benefit players that weren't as fortunate in pulling a significant number of Digitama, and can give the player an additional way to set up lethal without decking themselves out as quickly, provided that the pre-release match goes that distance. Speaking of deck size, let's get into some deck building tips for pre-release. Since we're limited to 40 cards, the proportions are obviously different. For example, 10 to 12 rookies is a sufficient number, especially since after laying our 5 security and drawing our initial hand, our deck is down to 30 cards instead of 40. The goal is to prioritize tempo. We want to prioritize effects that maximize our board presence while minimizing our opponent's board presence. Something like Dragomon in BT6 that would be otherwise glossed over could set your opponent back way more than you think. Aim to be as efficient as possible. Having champions that cost 1 will allow you to get into your ultimates that cost 2, so that you can get into your BT4 War Greymon as quickly as possible. While being cheap and efficient is great, don't underestimate raw power either. A 10k ultimate like BT4 Phantomon can be extremely difficult to remove and has a very high chance of living in security. Now, don't get too cute either. Consistency is still a thing. You may have pulled a Waymon and a King Waymon, but are you really going to use a slot on Waymon when there's a perfectly good Beowulfmon sitting there in your 18 hybrid deck? I didn't think so. Understand your color pool when considering your option cards. If you pulled 2 Gigastorms, it may be worth it to prioritize having more red Digimon to enable those options in hand. Beware of the pitfall with tamers. While having memory tamers will keep you from getting choked every turn, and will help you enable some options that you may choose to run, you generally have to burn an entire turn to develop them, which is costly when you're not offered many cards to answer a wide board or pull off an insane combo. Also, you may run into issues with tamers like Coda essentially bottom decking 4 cards you may really need when you only have 3x antibody cards in your deck, and 2 of them are already in your hand. Take note of interesting combos across colors. Your BT4 War Growlmon could Digiburst to hit a 12k Mega with minus 4k DP, and then Digivolve into a Victory Greymon and Digiburst those last 2 remaining sources to delete them now that they're in the 8k threshold. Alright, time's up. Everyone has built their deck, and it's time to start the rounds. Remember that tempo is key. Spend each turn developing either a new Digimon from hand or a pre-existing one from raising. I can't reiterate this enough, board presence is key. Don't get too cocky with the previous point on this one though. Beware of the card pool from the set. If you're playing BT8 pre-release, don't play in a Crimson Blaze with a wide board of 6k or less DP Digimon. If you're playing BT7 pre-release and Kazuchimon exists, don't burn all your Digis swinging to security to set up lethal if they have an ultimate in raising. Take note of the colors that your opponent has on the field and in raising. If they have a green Digimon and you're able to choke them to 1, you most likely won't have to worry about something like Ultimate Flare. Get efficient chip damage in where you can. If you have a black Mach-Gaogamon, it might be worth the risk to swing that 7k into security because the reboot will most likely keep it from being punished if it lives. Also, early chip damage means you'll have an easier time setting up lethal later. Make note of whether your opponent builds wide or tall. If it's wide, keeping that red body not Digivolved might be worth it to drop a soul-crushing Crimson Blaze. Seriously, do not sleep on this card. Above all else, memory efficiency and memory choking is still extremely important, and it's only getting more important with every new set. As the power level continues to rise, you're going to be able to do more with less memory. Alright, that's all the tips I have for you for the pre-release format, so I hope you gained something from this video and can apply it to your local events. Whether you're playing for multiple boxes or just for a prize card, please take the time to appreciate the short life of the pre-release format, to think outside the box, get acclimated with the variety of cards in the set, and most importantly, have fun with your friends in the local Digimon community. I'll see y'all next time. Good luck with the pulls, and as always, stay fly. Have a good one.